Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, viewers of all ages, I'd like to welcome you all to Just My Thoughts. I am your host, Erick Daniel Coughlin, and Just My Thoughts. What we do is we track we track thoughts off the thought tracker, and today's thought tracker happens to be the Chicago Bears 2023 draft class. So let's get down to that. Let's get to business. Let's break down what the Bears thought they had to do in the draft to begin with. They entered the draft with 10 picks. They walked away out of the draft with 10 picks. So let's break all of them down. The very first pick, it was actually number 10. We moved from 9th to 10th, but the first draft pick for the Chicago Bears was Darnell Wright, offensive tackle out of Tennessee. Their second draft pick was Gervon Dexter Sr., defensive tackle out of Florida Gators, by the way. Our third pick was to me the most shocking pick of all picks that we made this draft was Tyreek Wilson out of Miami. He's a cornerback. I was unaware that our secondary needed help, but boy, was I wrong because we went out and got three of them, so I didn't really have that on the agenda at all. Fourth pick, we went to South Carolina and got another defensive tackle by the name of Zach Pickens. Pick number 5 again blew my mind. The Bears completely blew my mind in this draft. Pick number 5, how about Roschon Johnson, running back out of Texas? I was completely unaware that we would even need a running back because we just got Dante Foreman. We have Khalil Herbert. Now we have Roschon Johnson. And I'm under speculations that Tristan Ebner is still on contract, so maybe Ebner doesn't make the cut. Maybe Roschon Johnson does. The reason why I say that is because I say this. I've been watching football all my life, and you know what I learned? If their last name is Johnson, they're probably badass. That's what I've learned. Pick number 6. They stayed on offense, and I'm completely okay with this idea. They drafted Tyler Scott out of Cincinnati, a speedster. This guy, they said at the pro day ran a 4.2 40. That means this dude can fly. Now he's a little bitty dude, 5'10", like 180 pounds. So I expect in the first 90 days the Bears, work him out, get him on a regiment, make him, about right around 195, right around the 200 bill, and maybe he still runs that 4.3. Maybe he drops to a 4.4. But anyway, ideally this guy comes in and for the first time in a long time, kind of fills the shoes of a guy named Johnny Knox, right? Johnny Knox was a little bitty dude, but he could outrun everybody on the field, and Jay Cutler would just light the place up. He played on the opposite side of Devin Hester. If you guys don't know your Bears history, you guys need to look up Johnny Knox. Number 13 was an amazing wide receiver, but like I said, he was a little undersized. So the Bears essentially getting the same exact thing years later, a speedster that's a little undersized, but I like to pick Tyler Scott at number 6. Number 7, I believe we went with a linebacker, and that's exactly what we did. We went with a linebacker. His name is Noah Sewell out of Oregon. That's pretty good because his brother plays for Detroit. So it's kind of like, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Equanimeous St. Brown, they're brothers. So now our new linebacker, Noah Sewell, his brother plays for the Detroit Lions. So that's cool. They got some brotherly competition, and within the division, I think stuff like that is phenomenal. It makes the games more fun. It makes the division more interesting. So I'm all for that. And essentially, this guy's going to come in. He's going to make a little bit of noise. He'll probably be the backup to like Sanborn, and then definitely be a premier player on the special teams. This guy's going to come in and get some playing time. As a matter of fact, before I continue this list, I want everyone to understand this, that I believe that the entire draft class is going to get playing time, and we'll break that down at the end of the 10 list. I'm going to tell you in my mind what's going to go down, but don't forget, like I said, number 7 was Noah Sewell from Oregon. The 8th pick, we picked up another DB. Like I said, Terrell Smith from Minnesota. Like I said, this blew my mind. The whole draft just blew my mind. So that's the second cornerback that we got. And then we went out and got another defensive tackle, Travis Bell. And I forget where Bell played school. Kenshaw State is where he played. And then, at the end of the draft, the 10th player that we got was another DB, but this time he's not a cornerback. This time he's primarily a safety. Probably play strong safety for us more than he will anything, because Eddie just doesn't need help. Eddie Jackson's who I'm talking about. How you doing? He just never needs help. So this guy at number 10 is Kendall Williamson, will be the backup to Jaquan Brisker next year. Mark my words on that. So like I said already, I touched onto this. I believe all 10 of these guys come into the team. They make the cut. They don't, have nothing to worry about except for compete, play hard, do your best. And this is what I think is going to happen. So I think, primarily Darnell Wright goes and he gets the starting job. Darnell Wright will be a starting rookie next year. So that's rookie number 1. I think definitely without a shot of a doubt, but you can't even question it. I think that Jervon Dexter and Zach Pickens both are defensive starters next year. So that's now 3 rookies I'm claiming to be starters. And so ideally, if you know your Bears history, this is what we like to do. We like to run a 4-3 defense, right? So that means we got 2 defensive ends, 2 defensive tackles. We just drafted 2 defensive tackles very early in the draft. You know what that means? We're planning on using them. Both of these guys I claim to be starters. Okay, then I already touched on this. Then Noah Sewell. I expect him to be the backup to Jack Sanborn and get a shit ton of playing time on the special teams, so he'll be effective immediately. Then again, the very first cornerback that we took, I feel like he's going to be effective immediately. You're saying, who am I talking about? I'm talking about Tyreke Wilson. So Tyreke Wilson, I think this is what's going to happen. He's going to primarily be the backup to Kyler Gordon. Kyler Gordon got hurt last year. Kendall Vildor came in. I don't think Kendall Vildor comes in at all this year. Like I said, we drafted 3 defensive backs. I was unaware that we even needed any of them. So that means Vildor is done in Chicago. I repeat, Tyreke Wilson be the backup to Kyler Gordon and quite possibly move up into a starting rotation depending on what happens with Gordon next year. Same thing, Terrell Smith, the other guy that we picked up from Minnesota. I expect him to be the backup to Jalen Johnson. So these guys are coming into the team and already going to be backups immediately, efficiently backups. Cornerback, obviously it was a problem. It's obviously a problem that we took time to fix in the draft. How you doing? Terrell Smith would be the backup to Jalen Johnson, and then Tyreke Wilson would be the backup to Kyler Gordon, and then the other safety that we got, Williamson, really late in the draft. He may or may not even make the team. If he does make the team, he'll be a special teams player along with Travis Bell. He'll be like the 3rd or 4th defensive tackle on the team, probably primarily be a special teams player. But all that's okay. So that means we walked into the draft with 10 picks, and we had to find 10 guys that were going to give us premier minutes, because we know that we are in a year 2 of a rebuild. Yes, we spent a lot of money in the free agency. Yes, we got top tier guys in the free agency built around the defense. Yes, we already had an amazing secondary, and then we built a great linebacker core. And I think through the draft, we just created a nice, very reliable defensive line. So great job on that. And then the same thing, let's flip it to the offense. What did we do in the offense, right? So we picked up DJ Moore. We picked up Davis, offensive guard from Tennessee. Then we picked up Darnell Wright. So that's 2 offensive linemen that he picked up that are going to come in. They're going to play. They're going to start. They're going to help protect Justin Fields. And then, like I said, the DJ Moore thing, the Tyler Scott thing, I think that's going to be I think that's going to be the steal of the draft. If I had to pick 10 guys who was going to be the steal rookie, my steal rookie is going to be Tyler Scott. You have to understand, I absolutely loved everything we did with Johnny Knox. I think that's exactly what's going to happen with this guy. I think he's going to be like a 4th down kind of, wide receiver. Maybe once every, quarter. Maybe if he gets hot, you sometimes want to tease the idea, throw it to him 5 or 6 times. But you're only going to throw this to this guy about 3 times a game and hope to hit the home run. And obviously, it brings the opportunity to hit the home run every game. Every game we can hit at least 1 home run with Tyler Scott. I think he's going to be the sleeper of the draft. And he's going to be the 2nd sleeper of the draft. Actually, I think the Bears did a really good job. I think out of all 10 of their players, they got 2 of them that are going to be surprisingly good. Roschon Johnson, Texas running back. I don't know what we're going to do with the guy. I mean, but he's a motorhead. He can do it all. So primarily, I think Tristan Ebner loses his job. I don't think he gets signed. If he does, he'll be a special teams player. I think Johnson comes in to get the third down back. I think he'll help us move the ball in tight situations. Plus, let's be honest with ourselves. We don't know about Herbert. Herbert could get hurt. That's why we got Foreman. Foreman could get hurt. So drafting Roschon Johnson makes all the sense in the world. Plus, I think he can help on the special teams. I understand we got Velus Jones from last year, but I also understand this. Mark my words. I did not like him last year. I do not think I'm going to like him this year. He has to improve tremendously. I do not know what one offseason does to an offensive player who already struggled. I don't think he's going to be the man. I think that's exactly why, mark my words, I think that's exactly why Dante Pettis got re-signed. I think Dante Pettis comes into the locker room knowing that he's going to be the punt returner and kick returner, but I think Roschon Johnson puts a big-time competitive mark on that job. I think he might could even take that job. And let's be honest, I know it's really dangerous, right? You think it's better to have a wide receiver back there because they're supposed to be faster, right? But speed's not everything. If you got a guy that can break 3 or 4 tackles and he can still run a 4.40 and 4.6, 4.5, we're talking about NFL guys. So these guys are all fast. Yes, some are clearly faster, but they're all fast, and not all of them are powerful. That's why I said, what if? You know, his last name is Johnson, Roschon Johnson. I mean, put him back there. He might be twice the kick returner and punt returner that Dante Pettis is. So that means no more Velus Jones, at least on special teams. It's just all good things. And I say the same thing. Not only, let's go back to what Poles did offensively. So he brought in the guard from Tennessee. I mentioned that. And then he drafted these kids that I've all mentioned, Darnell Wright, and then Roschon Johnson, and then Tyler Scott to help the offense. But also another thing that he did to help the offense that he's not getting credit for, he picked up the tight end, Robert Tanya from Green Bay. This guy's another big, solid guy. So primarily, this is what's going to happen. Everyone loves Cole Kmet. He can catch. He can run. He's a big, powerful, strong guy. Perfect. So that means what? Robert Tanya is going to get a shit ton of special teams playing time, and he's also going to be primarily like an inside blocker. So you'll see him on the far outside a lot of times this year. And you're thinking, oh, God, they're going to hit him in the flats. No, they're not. They're going to crack block him. He's going to run to the left. He's going to smack whoever defensive ends trying to match up against Cole Kmet, and it's going to break Cole Kmet out to the left, strong side, boom, hit it wide open. Cole Kmet, everything he did last year is going to be tripled. So you think about that. He was our best receiver last year, but he barely got the motor going. He didn't start doing good till week 7, week 8, week 9. That's when the whole offense started picking up. Cole Kmet's going to be that guy. So Robert Tonyan is going to be a great addition. Great blocker on the outside. I love that. Another thing he did offensively, and then I said he brought in the Foreman guy too. From Panthers. Running back is what I'm talking about. But that's what I'm not talking about that needs to be talked about. He picked up excuse me. He picked up backup quarterback PJ Walker from Carolina Panthers that primarily has the exact same playing style as Justin Fields. So ideally, nobody wants this to happen, but just in case anything might happen to Justin Fields, we got a guy that can come in and play the exact game that Justin Fields was playing. Now, sure, he's not going to have the fire that Justin has. He might not even have the speed or the accuracy that Justin has, but he has the playing style of Justin. So that means the play calling doesn't have to change. So if we're in a game, something bad happens, we don't have to really worry about being out of it. No, I'm not saying I think he's great. I'm just saying he's an ideal backup to what we present as an offense. He's an ideal backup to Justin Fields. I think that was another great pickup. Again, everything that Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus has done together, I think has been phenomenal. I think they've done a great job rebuilding this team, and this is just second year. So here's the thing. We got 10 rookies, all of them getting playing time. Through free agency, we got a brand new defense. Everyone pretty much that got signed during the offseason will come in and will be starters. So he is. It's almost like what are the expectations? We almost don't know. Anything is acceptable, right? 3 games last year sucked, but we knew we were going to suck. So we kind of like, you know what, it's going to be all right. And then, and not only did we suck, we made it exciting too. So like I said, I said this before and I'll say this again, 9 of the 13 losses were one-score games. And our team is extremely, extremely, extremely better than it was last year. But they are all brand new, and they will all have to learn each other and play with each other. I understand that, but I also understand this. They are all pros. They've all played college ball. They've all been in multiple programs. They know who they are, what they're supposed to do, and they're all multi-million-dollar NFL professional football players. So you take that in consideration. I see the Chicago Bears being a 12-4 team, or 12-5, whatever the new record works out to be because of the extra game. I believe it'd be 12-5. I know that sounds crazy going from 3 to 12, so that's saying 4 times better, but that's exactly what I'm saying. The team is 4 times better, even with all these rookies, even with all these brand new free agents. We are 4 times better in the situation that we were going into last season. Having, Roquan Smith wanting all the money in the world, and having a broke down, almost retired defensive end demanding retirement money. And then, to me, it seems like getting a brand new coach has been a thing for the Bears. Let's just start that. Let me recap it for you because I'm just a Bears guy since we lost Levy. We've had guys like John Fox come in for 2 or 3 years. We had a Canadian guy come in, and I didn't know his name. I'm going mind blank on him right now, but a Canadian guy came in for a year. Then we had the Matt Nagy situation for about 2 seasons. Now we're underneath Matt Eberflus. But I think it just needed to happen. And here's the thing. Here's why it's great. Matt Eberflus was a defensive guy. Now he's our head coach. So that's the reason why all these big splashes with the defense are happening, because he wants a program that he can control. And he believes in a 4-3 defense. That's what we are legendary for. So he presents a game that we want to play, and we want to see as fans. Not only do the players want to play it, the fans want to see it. We want to see that 4-3. We want to see, our defensive ends making a lot of noise. We want to see our inside linebackers going crazy. We want to have 4 solid defensive backs just make it primarily impossible, almost as close to impossible as you can get, to scoring on these guys. And that's what Matt Eberflus has presented. That's what these guys have went out and drafted, with Ryan Poles being the man of the hour, being, who's in charge of what goes down. These guys are making a lot of progress. They've already done it in just 2 years. So like I said, let's get back to that. My predictions are 12-5, but here's the real question. Let's be realistic. What is acceptable? So is winning 9 games acceptable? I would say yes. Would we make playoffs? Probably not. If we only won 9 games, we probably would not make playoffs, because we probably wouldn't win the division with just 9 games. So I'd say the barrier is 10, right? We'd have to be 10-7 and hope to win the division with that record. But I think that's being a speculist. I think we're a lot better than 10-7, because, like I said, if things go our way, a lot of bad calls, a lot of crappy refs, and just a lot of pure lazy talent that's just not going to be there this year that was there last year. I really believe 12-5 is realistic. I really believe we're going to win the division. At second place would be the Lions, third Vikings, and fourth finally the Packers. I really think that's legitimate, even with all this youth, even with all these new faces, even with you can say it's brand new coaches, but are not. So I haven't read, followed anything that we lost any of our coaches from last year. So that means we're presenting the same exact thing we presented last year, this year, except for far more talent. So that being said, I have just broken down the draft class of the Chicago Bears, and then I've presented all the other additions that were made through the offseason and how I feel like we're gonna play. If you like what you've heard, if you enjoyed what you've seen, always feel free. Cash at me, Erick Coughlin, #Coughlin Pride. Have a nice day.